Your entire future is riding on one thing: how you think. Two people can work the same job, earn the same paycheck, and start with the same savings. But 10 years later, one owns two properties, has investments growing quietly, and sleeps without money stress. The other lives paycheck to paycheck, crushed by credit cards, and feels like life is a trap. It's not about intelligence or luck. It's about mindset. I'm talking about the ideas you hold about effort, learning, and your own limits. A Stanford psychologist, Carol Dweck, spent decades studying why some people keep growing and others get stuck. She found that talent or hard work alone don't separate the successful from the stuck. It's how people handle obstacles and failures. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are carved in stone. They avoid challenges. They feel threatened by others' success. They say things like, "I'm just not good with money." People with a growth mindset see skills as something they can build. They welcome challenges. They learn from criticism instead of feeling attacked. They say, "I can figure this out," or "I'm not there yet, but I will be." Imagine two young professionals in Toronto, both make $50,000 a year. One spends weekends learning new skills and reading about personal finance. The other watches Netflix and complains that rich people just got lucky. 10 years later, the first owns a small rental property. Their investments have grown. They feel confident about money. The second still lives paycheck to paycheck. That's not fate, it's mindset. Your mindset is the ceiling on your life. It's the limit on how far your money, career, and confidence can go. If your mind is locked, your results are locked. If your mind stays open, your results keep expanding. Ask yourself this: when you fail at something, or do you think, "What can I learn to get better?" When someone criticizes your work, do you shut down, or do you look for the truth in their words? Do you believe rich people have secrets you'll never learn, or do you believe you could learn those same skills? You can change how you think. Start small. Next time you hit a problem, pause. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "How can I?" That one question opens new paths. Read biographies of people who grew from nothing. Listen to podcasts that teach practical skills. Hang out with people who talk about solutions, not just complaints. If you want to grow your wealth, start by growing your mind, because money follows mindset. And on the passive path, we believe your brain is your biggest asset. But mindset is just the beginning. How you think also decides how you handle pressure. Let's talk about why strength is overrated. Adaptability decides who wins. Charles Darwin didn't say the strongest survive. He said the ones who adapt survive. Think about businesses that refuse to change. Blockbuster kept renting DVDs. Netflix went online and streamed movies. Blockbuster is gone. Netflix is everywhere. The world moves fast. Technology changes jobs. Whole industries disappear. New ones explode overnight. Remember taxi companies before ride-sharing? Then Uber showed up. People who adapted made money driving part-time. Those who refused stayed angry at the changes. The same happens in your career. Jobs become obsolete. Skills lose value. Companies merge and cut staff. If you're rigid, you get left behind. If you adapt, you find new paths. Ask yourself, when something changes, do you panic? Or do you ask, "How can I use this?" A man in his 40s worked for a newspaper. Print sales dropped. Digital ads took over. He could have. Today, he earns triple his old salary. All because he adapted. The world outside you moves faster than you expect. Andy Grove, the founder of Intel, once said change comes 10 times faster than people predict. Look around. A job you think is safe today might vanish tomorrow. Virtual reality replaces store clerks. Robots replace factory workers. Artificial intelligence writes reports and answers emails. People say, "My job could never be replaced." That's what carriage makers said before cars. That's what film camera makers said before digital cameras. Nothing stays the same. People who thrive stay flexible. They learn new things. They try new tools. They adjust without fear. The passive path believes wealth isn't just about dollars. It's about being ready for change. Adaptability keeps you earning when others freeze. But adaptability alone won't make you wealthy. You also need to think in probabilities. Let's talk about why. Most people make decisions on feelings. Smart people think in probabilities. During World War II, American planes came back from missions full of bullet holes. Engineers wanted to reinforce the parts hit the most. That sounded smart, but a mathematician named Abraham Wald disagreed. He said to reinforce the places with no bullet holes. Why? Because the planes that got hit in those places never made it home. That's called survivorship bias. We only see what survived. We miss what got destroyed. Investing works the same way. We see people who made millions. We forget the quiet failures. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, said fishing for money has one rule: fish where the fish are. Then remember rule number 1. If you want to build wealth, you have 3 questions. What should I do? What should I avoid? What should I keep repeating? Probability thinking helps you answer all 3. Imagine poker. You have 2. You fold when the odds are bad. You bet more when the odds are good. Smart investors act the same way. They don't throw money at every trend. They pick places where the odds are stacked in their favor. Think of someone who buys every hot stock tip from friends. They lose money. Another person studies the business. They ask, what's the real risk? They only invest when the odds look solid. Guess who ends up wealthy? Your brain can train to think in probabilities. Start simple. Next time you make a choice, ask, if I did this 100 times, how often would it work out? If I'm wrong, what's the cost? If I'm right, what's the reward? A young woman in Chicago wanted to start a bakery. She didn't quit her job overnight. She baked cakes on weekends. She tested recipes. She sold small batches. She wanted proof people would buy. When the orders grew steady, she opened a store. She didn't gamble. She thought in odds. Now she runs. Probability thinking saves money, time, and heartache. It's not magic, it's just asking better questions. The passive path believes wealth loves people who think in odds. But thinking in odds is only part of the game. Smart thinking can turn obstacles into opportunities. Leverage changes everything. It turns small efforts into big results. Imagine a library facing a huge problem. They needed to move millions of books to a new building. It would cost a fortune in trucks and workers. But a young employee had a different idea. He announced that the library would now be free to the public. He asked people to return their books to the new location. 90% of the books moved themselves. That's leverage. Leverage means using resources beyond your own 2 hands. Time, money, technology, networks, knowledge. Airbnb didn't buy hotels. They leveraged empty rooms in people's homes. Uber didn't buy cars. They leveraged drivers' personal vehicles. Small efforts produced global businesses. You can use leverage in your own life. Not everyone will build a billion-dollar company, but you can still multiply your results. Learn skills that pay you again and again. Coding, copywriting, design, a freelance web design. It keeps earning while they sleep. That's time leverage. Use other people's money wisely. A person buys a small duplex. They live in one side, they rent out the other. The tenant pays the mortgage. That's financial leverage. Build a network. One introduction can open doors to jobs, clients, or investors. That's social leverage. Turn your knowledge into assets. Write a book. Teach a class. Launch a digital product. Your work lives online forever. That's knowledge leverage. Think about your own skills. How can you stop trading hours for dollars? Where can you build something once and get paid many times? The passive path believes wealth flows to those who find leverage. But leverage needs vision. Without vision, you're just working harder. Let's talk about how to... Vision separates short-term wins from long-term wealth. Most people think in straight lines. One day ahead, one paycheck at a time. They chase quick results. They avoid long waits. People with vision think in decades. They zoom out. They see how choices ripple across time. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, took big risks. He invested billions into new ideas. Some failed completely. Others took 7 years before making money. But he wasn't scared to wait. Warren Buffett only buys companies he'd hold for decades. He ignores temporary noise. He thinks, will this business still matter in 20 years? That's vision. Vision looks backward and forward. It connects past patterns to future possibilities. A young man in California started a small online shop selling home goods. Instead of grabbing fast profits, he studied trends. He saw how eco-friendly products were rising. He built his business around sustainability. 5 years later, he didn't just look at today. He planned for 5 years down the road. Vision protects you from panic. When markets drop, people without vision sell in fear. People with vision buy bargains. Vision keeps you steady. It stops you from getting distracted by shiny objects. It makes you patient. Think about your own goals. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Not just money, lifestyle, freedom, relationships, health. Every choice you make today either builds toward that picture or pulls you away. On the passive path, we talk about vision because money takes time to grow. Compound interest works slowly. Learning new skills takes time. Building trust in a business takes years. Vision keeps you working through the slow seasons. Vision makes you unstoppable, but even vision must translate into action. The real winners look upstream to solve problems before they explode. Let's talk about how to fix things at the... Fixing problems at the surface never lasts. Real change happens upstream. A tech team at Google faced a problem. Their ads weren't getting clicks from users in China. The sales team wanted to change font sizes and colors, make the ads louder. But one engineer asked a simple question: what's the real problem we're trying to solve? They discovered the real issue. Chinese websites had giant banners at the top. People ignored the upper part of the screen, so Google moved their ads lower on the page. Clicks soared. They didn't just treat symptoms, they fixed the cause. That's upstream thinking. Many people stay busy fixing problems over and over. They never stop to ask why those problems keep happening. Think of a person who's always broke. They blame high rent or groceries or bad luck. But the real problem might be spending habits or lack of savings discipline. Until they fix the root, they stay trapped. Upstream thinking asks better questions. What's feeding this problem? What tiny change would prevent it altogether? A woman in Texas struggled with weight gain. She tried diets, she joined gyms, nothing stuck. She finally asked why she was overeating. She realized stress at work drove her to junk food. So she changed jobs, lost weight, kept it off. Upstream thinking saved her years of struggle. It works for money too. Someone keeps switching jobs for tiny raises, but they never build skills that pay more. The real fix is learning one valuable skill deeply, or building a side income. Not just chasing higher hourly wages. Upstream thinking saves time. It saves money. It protects your mental health. On the passive path, we believe wealth builders fix the cause, not just the symptoms. But your environment shapes how easily you can do this. Let's talk about why your environment shapes your future more than your willpower. A man once rode his horse through a snowstorm. He thought he crossed a flat field. He reached a village and learned the truth. He'd galloped across a frozen lake. If he'd known it was ice, he'd have been terrified. His belief shaped his actions. That's how environment works. We think we're choosing freely, but we're reacting to what's around us. If your house is cluttered, your mind feels scattered. If your friends waste money, you'll likely waste money too. If you spend hours on social media, your goals slip away. Environment can trap you, or it can set you free. A man in Vancouver struggled to focus while working from home. He sat in his living room with the TV nearby. He changed one thing. He set up a tiny desk in his bedroom. No TV, no distractions. His focus doubled. He finished work faster. Same person. New environment. A woman wanted, so she joined a local hiking group instead. She made new friends. She got healthier. She saved hundreds each month. Environment changed everything. Want to read more? Leave your books on the coffee table. Want to eat healthier? Stock your fridge with good food. Want to save money? Unsubscribe from shopping emails. Delete apps that tempt you to spend. Change your surroundings, and your habits change automatically. On the passive path, we believe you can't always rely on motivation. Shape your world so the right choices become easy. But sometimes the smartest move isn't staying the course. Sometimes the strongest decision is to quit. Let's talk about why people say never give up. That's not always true. Sometimes quitting saves your life. A woman in New York dated a man who seemed perfect. Her family loved him. They talked about marriage. Then she found gambling receipts in his pockets. Every month he blew his paycheck. He promised to stop. He didn't. He borrowed money from her. He grew angry when she refused to lend more. Her family told her to stay and help him change. She walked away. A year later, he lost his job and faced crushing debts. She met someone new who respected her and shared her values. Her life moved forward. Not every wall is worth crashing into. Sticking with the wrong path wastes years. In business, it's the same. A man ran a small restaurant for 5 years. Losses piled up. He borrowed to stay afloat. He refused to close because he'd invested so much time and money. That's the sunk cost trap. Finally, he shut down. He started a food truck and he now works fewer hours and makes more money. Quitting wasn't failure, it was freedom. Ask yourself, is this situation likely to improve? Am I staying because of pride or fear of starting over? Would I advise a friend to stay? Sometimes quitting is the brave choice. Not quitting becomes stubbornness. On the passive path, we believe persistence matters. But blind persistence destroys futures. Quitting wrong paths frees your time, money, and energy. But quitting alone isn't enough. Winners know how to step up and fill gaps when chaos strikes. Let's talk about how solving problems. Some people freeze when problems appear. Others fill the gap. That's how they rise. A man started working at a tech company. 3 days in, he got pulled into a meeting. The CEO yelled about the company's broken website. He ordered it rebuilt in 30 days. The man knew nothing about the website, but he said yes. He gathered designers. He gathered programmers. He worked nights. He launched a new site on time. The CEO later learned he wasn't even the person in charge, but he got promoted. Gap fillers become leaders. They don't wait for someone else to fix things. They step forward. A woman worked in customer service. Her boss quit suddenly. The phones rang off the hook. Instead of panicking, she trained the team herself. She solved problems. She got promoted to manager. That's gap filling. You don't need special titles to be valuable. You just need to solve problems. Others avoid. Break big problems. Ask, what's the first small action I can take? Gap fillers create security for themselves. Even if they lose a job, people remember their value. Gap fillers attract opportunities. People trust them. On the passive path, we believe wealth favors problem solvers. But even great problem solvers must play to their strengths. Let's talk about why knowing your... Stop obsessing over your weaknesses. Start doubling down on your strengths. A German scientist named Otto Wallach once tried to study literature. He worked hard but struggled. Teachers said he'd never succeed in that field. He tried painting. No talent there either. He felt like a failure. Then a chemistry teacher suggested science. Wallach exploded with talent. Years later, he won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. He just needed to find his lane. You don't have to be good at everything. You only need to be great at one thing. A man in Detroit tried sales, hated it, and failed. He loved fixing machines. He became a master auto mechanic. Now he runs a thriving shop. He earns more than he ever did in sales. A woman struggled in big corporate jobs. She was quiet. She felt invisible. She started a bookkeeping business from home. She didn't have to sell. Her work spoke for itself. Now she earns 6 figures and chooses her hours. Know your... What do they always come to you for? What feels easy for you but hard for others? Your best talents often hide in plain sight. You don't have to fix every flaw. Hire people to cover your weak spots. Or choose work that avoids those weaknesses. Play offense with your best skills. On the passive path, we believe real wealth comes from leaning into what makes you shine. But even the most talented people stall if they stop learning. Let's talk about why keeping your mind open. An empty cup can hold more water. A full cup overflows. A young man once visited a wise teacher. He wanted to learn wisdom. The teacher poured tea into his cup until it spilled. The young man shouted, "The cup is full," the teacher said. "Just like your mind. If it's full, nothing new can enter. Stay empty, keep learning. Even experts keep learning." A famous actor in China finished his scenes. Instead of leaving, he stayed on set. He watched the younger actors perform. Someone asked him why. He said, "No matter how much I know, there's always more to learn." That's an empty cup. Many people stop learning after school. They believe they know enough. They coast through life. Then the world changes. They feel lost. The most successful people read daily. They listen to new ideas. They question their own thinking. A man in Florida worked in retail. Retail collapsed during a crisis. He learned digital marketing online. He rebuilt his career. He tripled. Ask yourself, when did you last learn something new? What skill could you add this year that would change your earning power? Read books outside your industry. Talk to people with different views. Take small courses online. The world rewards the curious. On the passive path, we believe you're never finished growing. Your best version is still ahead. And all these mental upgrades pay off in one powerful way. Let's talk. Everything we've talked about leads to freedom. Mindset shapes your ceiling. Adaptability keeps you alive in change. Probability thinking protects you from bad bets. Leverage multiplies your effort. Vision keeps you steady through storms. Upstream thinking solves problems before they grow. Environment pushes you forward or holds you back. Knowing when to quit saves you years. Gap filling makes you valuable. Strength focus unlocks your unique edge. An empty cup keeps you growing. Wealth starts in the mind, long before it shows up in your bank account. A man in Chicago used to believe money was evil. He never saved. He never invested. Then he read books on money mindset. He changed how he thought. He started small investments. 10 years later, he owns real estate and has 6 figures saved. The change began in his thinking. A woman in Toronto wanted freedom. She didn't want to depend on one paycheck. She learned new skills. Now she works from home and travels when she wants. All because she opened her mind and took action. Your thoughts shape your choices. Your choices shape your results. If you want a bigger life, start upgrading how you think. Ask better questions. Surround yourself with people who grow. Invest time learning new ideas. Keep your mind open. On the passive path, we believe true wealth means control. Control over your time. Control over your work. Control over your future. Thank you for listening to The Passive Path. If you found value today, like the video, subscribe for more ways to grow your mind and money. Leave a comment and tell us which mental shift you'll work on.